We are staying on Netflix here today with our review of The Piano Lesson. It has been in theaters for a little bit and is now streaming. This is the latest August Wilson adaptation that Denzel Washington is involved in some capacity. Alonso, tell us more.
Yes, Denzel Washington, it was a Take Your Sons to Work Day.
You feel that? That's your family.
Malcolm is making his feature directorial debut. John David Washington is featured as Boy Willie. And yeah, this is the third August Wilson adaptation that we're getting in a handful of years. And yeah, it's pretty powerful stuff. It is set in the early 1930s. And Boy Willie drives up from Mississippi with a truckload of watermelons because the guy who used to own the land where their grandparents were slaves and their parents were sharecroppers has fallen down a well, and Boy Willie has the opportunity to buy that land, and he thinks that between money he has saved and the money he's going to get from selling the watermelons and the money that he will make from selling the family piano that his sister Bernice has up in Pittsburgh, that he's going to be able to afford that land. But that piano has a history, a complicated, icky, slave-related history, and Bernice is not willing to let that go. Bernice being played by the great Danielle Deadwyler. Their uncle is Sam Jackson. This is an amazing cast from stem to stern. Ray Fisher, whom I did not recognize from the Justice League movies, plays Lyman here. Corey Hawkins plays Avery, who is a man of the cloth with an interest in marrying Bernice. This is a really stunning adaptation. It is a story that already kind of flirts with being a ghost story, both sort of metaphorically, but also literally. And there's a lot of different ways you can do that. And I would recommend that folks check out, if you've never seen the 1995 Hallmark Hall of Fame adaptation that Lloyd Richards, who directed the original Broadway production, did with the great Charles Dutton and Alfre Woodard as Bernice. And Courtney B. Vance as Lyman. It's a really terrific version. But it's a little more on the theatrical made-for-television side, whereas this is very kind of dark and shadowy, and they, I think, play around a lot more with the idea of how do we make this cinematic, because a lot of this is people in a small tenement arguing with each other, but you get flashbacks and you get you know, things that the characters are talking about, but that you wouldn't have necessarily seen on stage. And, you know, it is a powerful metaphor. Like, that piano stands for a lot of things. You know, that piano represents so much familial pain. It represents exploitation. The fact that this family has managed to acquire that piano is in and of itself kind of meaningful in terms of what Boy Willie's ambitions are, the change in American culture at this point, and how far it's gone and how far it obviously has yet to go. Yeah, this is a movie that is packed with ideas, but it also is very dramatically explosive with some really terrific performances. I really hope people see it.
I never forgot that I was watching a play.
Well, sure.
You know, and part of that is it's a feature and a bug in terms of it feels claustrophobic in the space. But also it gives these actors a chance to like really dig into very meaty, complicated, dense dialogue. And there's an incredible rhythm and an incredible like height to which this needs to be pitched, right? Especially in John David Washington's performance, and eventually in Danielle Deadwyler's. Like, she's got this kind of lovely, slow burn kind of simmering there. Like, she's got to kind of keep it all inside and keep the family together and be the voice of reason amid a lot of big personalities and a lot of really strong instincts. And she's a mom, and so she's just trying to like figure it all out. And so she is great in it. There's a scene that takes place in the kitchen with a few of the characters that just begins as a conversation, and then a rhythm builds, and then eventually like they completely burst into song. And it is rhapsodic, and it is mesmerizing, and you get swept up in the emotion of that. And that is a moment in which I feel like this does transcend kind of the boundaries of its theatrical origins emotionally. And that happens here and there. But I never forgot that I was watching a play on film. And for a lot of folks that won't be a problem. It's just, to me, I felt like a limitation.
I mean, was that an issue for you with like Ma Rainey or Fences?
I feel like those get the opportunity to play outside of their physical boundaries more organically and more effectively, right? Like Fences, I mean, yeah, it's just going out into the yard, but still, I feel like it feels more open somehow, you know, and with Ma Rainey as well. So, but they're all excellent. Like they're all really good as far as giving really superb actors a chance to shine and do a lot with really tough dialogue.
Well, like I thought the fact that, I mean, like the scene to which you allude has always obviously been part of this show, but like they work in a dance number in a very organic way. I thought, you know, a sort of a nightclub scene, kind of like that one in Blitz, where suddenly like there's this explosion of energy and color going on, that I thought kind of helped it feel a little less stage bound. I think that like I really admire Danielle Deadwyler. I think that she has been directed to go maybe a little too big when she gets to her sort of biggest parts. Yeah, like I think there's that, are we acting for the stage, or are we acting for the camera thing?
I see.
And I don't know if she's ever done this on stage, but to me, there were times where I kind of felt like Malcolm Washington could have maybe been like, all right, you're an 11, give me a 9, and maybe didn't. But I mean, it's still riveting. She's an extraordinary performer. You know, she was so great in Till, and I think this is another role that's going to kind of like remind people like that she's a really amazing screen actress.
Maybe that's meant to be a great contrast though to how understated that performance is, right? So this is meant to really show like how significant this moment is to her, especially in contrast with how she ordinarily
tamped down she's kept it. Yeah, no, that's certainly a possibility. And I think, you know, this is the kind of thing like you can watch more than once and sort of track that kind of thing once you have an idea of like where it's all going to go. Like you can more easily sort of watch the arc that these characters are on. But yeah, I was really impressed.
Yeah, John David Washington is really good in this too. Like, because it's just so, I think maybe he gets verbally one of the more complicated roles here, because what Boy Willie wants is, it's so manic and he's so intense about it that it's just so fast. Like the dialogue is so rich and so fast. Like it just requires a level of like technical expertise that, you know, it's challenging.
Yeah. And, you know, Samuel L. Jackson is just, he makes it look effortless, and
say the exact same thing. Yes.
And there are movies where you can tell he isn't making an effort, like where he's showing up and being Samuel L. Jackson and collecting a paycheck for just like, you know, Argyle or something, you know. But in something like this, like he comes armed to really like do things and be responsive and reactive, and you know, it's easy to take him for granted sometimes, and we shouldn't. He's great.
Yeah, and the production and the costume design here is really evocative of the era as well, just in everything that she wears and what that says about her and how she wants to project herself out into the world. And so, yeah, this is really, really good. I will say a 7.5.
Yeah, I'm at a 7.7. So yeah,
okay. I thought you liked it more than I did.
I did, but I mean, like, I think, you know, the numbers are stupid. I hate them anyway.
Yay, numbers.
Yes, Piano Lesson is dropping today on Netflix. I would have liked the opportunity to see it on the big screen, which I did not get to, because I think it is, you know, like I said, even though there's so much of it is set inside that house, I think there's a lot of different versions of the light that we get, whether it's in the flashbacks, whether it's in leaving the house, or the fact that, I mean, like it starts at dawn, there's nighttime stuff. It's not just like you're in a room, the curtains are closed, go, you know, there's a lot happening in here. So yeah, check it out.